jail.
I didn't go to jail either because we're all solicited at that point. My friends were like, yeah, bring it. So, great coffee table book. Here's these pictures. Here's all the girls' commentary on it. So, we kind of made it, we made fun with it. I mean, after we were initially like, oh, what a jerk. Yeah, I thought it was okay. And then 3 texts in, I get these pictures. Like, great. Like, you think so one of them? But, fortunately, the laws have changed. So has a lot of this action. So that's been very positive because, I mean, you don't want to be at dinner with your kids and your phone pops up. Can you get that? No. Like, what? I don't want to see that. Especially somebody that I've never met and never will. So, I'm going to pass it on for the guy's perspective.
I don't got no experience in this area.
Good answer.
Good answer, Yvonne. Good answer. That's 10 out of 10.
I wanted to just go ahead and play off something, Cleavon, you said earlier, which is, and I find that it happens, that people have, to me, they have become more disposable because of swiping. It's like if it doesn't work out or this person doesn't text the way I like them to text, I'll just get on there and swipe again. And it feels like people aren't taking the time to get to know each other. And I wanted to pick your brain on that because you had mentioned that and that people can just go find another person. I think we're missing probably some quality people by being, I used to talk about my sweet son back here. If he had a basketball in his hand and a football came up, he would drop the basketball and get the football. Then he would go, he even got invited to play cricket one year, and he came home and said, Mom, I'm going to play cricket, I want to try cricket. I'm like, oh my gosh, no, squirrel, shiny thing. I think that's what we're finding in dating. We need to get to talk.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing. Because you get the perception of options, right? Now, this woman lives in Singapore, you live in the United States, you're not going to see her or talk to her most likely, right? I mean, there are some certain cases, right? But most likely, you're never going to meet this person. But it gives you the perception that she's an option, right? Mentally. So I think it is shiny object syndrome. I'll be transparent here, right? So like, I noticed one day, I think I had gotten like off of Instagram or something like that for a little bit because I just needed a break. And when I got back on, I went to my Explorer page, and I guess maybe I was just more cognizant and aware this time because I haven't been logged on for so while. But there was my Explorer page was filled with a certain type of woman, right? Like the algorithm recognized that the pictures that I liked were a certain type of woman, right? And I was like, they all got locks, they all the same skin tone, like, you know, so like, technology is exploiting, my point is technology is exploiting our minds in some type of way. So, with knowing this knowledge now, right, because the technology's not gonna go away, right, big tech's not gonna go away, we have to combat that with self-awareness and realize that, hey, just because it feels like I have all the options in the world, that's not necessarily reality. Let me take time to learn this person. Let me take time to actually find out who they are and not swipe away once I see something that I don't like or something that I think I can get a better feel on somewhere else.
Anybody else want to comment on that?
I was going to say that the dating apps are built with the algorithms and the intelligence behind them. The AI in them is actually built just like the social media apps that's trying to get you to stay on the app more time. There's like literal technology built in trying to keep you on there. So just like Yvonne is mentioning that he got back on Instagram, the algorithm recognizes that he has not been on the app for however many days or weeks. We're going to show him data that has gotten the most interaction for him, right? Because we want him to stay on the app now. We lost him for 2 weeks. Wow, he wasn't on our app for us to sell him anything, to swipe on ads for our buyers, right? For their clients. We're the users, right? They got clients that are paying to put their content in front of us. So literally the dating apps are exactly the same way because they're being paid in order for you to be on there. They want you to stay on there. So that same technology, that swiping, there's research that shows that we are literally addicted to this motion. The same way you go on your Instagram feed and you kind of just scroll and you were subconsciously not even aware that you just opened the app. We're now doing that literally by habit now. That you just open your phone and get on these apps literally every 30 minutes or every hour or every 2 hours, and it's getting worse and worse because we're mentally addicted to this stuff. So it really isn't conducive to be addicted to a dating app. You can meet a wonderful person, but you're so used to opening the dating app that you're not going back on the dating app even though you've met someone wonderful, which is absolutely counterintuitive.
I just wanted to add an anecdote, actually. I was working with a couple who were engaged, and they found each other online, same dating app, and 6 months later, they both received a message from the app that said, "Don't settle, you can do better."
Wow. Whoa.
So another problem that dating apps had is catfishing. And if you're not single right now, you probably haven't heard of catfishing. But it's when someone puts a picture online that is not them, or is 10 or 20 years old, or 40 pounds ago, or just not even that person at all. And then you go to meet them in person, and this happened to me, and you're not like, what? So, yeah. So I'll tell you my quick story, then I'm gonna get their feedback on catfishing. So I was, this was, years ago, but met a guy, first name Glenn, and I'm like, oh, handsome. Usually don't go for blondes, but okay, handsome. All right, yeah, sweet, nice texting, phone call. I show up. It was a picture from his childhood. He was probably 20 years older than the picture he posted. And I didn't know that at first. I was meeting him that year ago. So, Ed, that's his favorite place. And I would walk through the bar, and there was only one man in there. And I'm like, oh, that's an older gentleman, so that's not him. And I did like 2 laps in the bar.
That's the catfish.
And finally, I went, Glenn? He's like, yeah. I turned around and I thought, oh my gosh, this is the longest drink I've ever had in my life. So, it happened.
I was going to say, I was catfished. I'm a divorcee who got married at almost 40, so I'm the hope, for those of you who are 35 and 40 plus, who feel like it's absolutely, crazy and really hard. My husband and I were both divorcees who found each other after horrible divorces, so we've been married 7 years. But prior to meeting him, I met a man on an app, and great conversations, he lived out of state, so it wasn't kind of like ridiculous that we didn't meet like right away, a few weeks go by, but really, really great conversations. I was really digging this guy. And he said, hey, I'm coming to town for business, let's connect since I'm gonna be down, blah, blah, blah. We decided to meet at a restaurant not far from my house. I get out of my car, he says that he had just arrived. I am in the parking lot, and he said that he had gotten out of his car, and I'm looking and I see this man walking towards me, but easily this man was 60 pounds heavier than the picture on his dating app. He literally looked like, his name was David, he literally looked like someone who had ate David. And I literally, and you know how you're just trying to be, like, keep your composure because I don't want to be, like, mean? I've been talking to this man for, like, 3 weeks, and I really, really like him, and I felt like I found, like, a best friend, business buddy, like, talk about everything. It was, like, amazing. And I just could not believe that he had done this. And it was the first time it ever happened to me. And I was so disappointed. It was like, But it was more so that he had lied, because I felt so let down that he couldn't be himself, you know? But then I always think about, what is it that the catfisher thinks that they're gonna get out of this? That you're gonna see them now, 25 years older than the picture, or 50 pounds heavier than the picture. What are you supposed to do with that? Are we supposed to just oh, it doesn't matter. I'm still really digging you. So yeah, that was the first and last date with David, and I was very disappointed, but I was very honest with him, and I told him, if you had not lied to me, I think that we could have had some potential here, but the fact that you're lying about who you are, to me, is like one of those huge red flags, you're not happy with you. You've got some real stuff going on for you to carry on, with a woman for 3 weeks when you're pretending to be something different than you are.
This happens so much. It's really, I have personally learned that if you see somebody on a map that you're interested in, you have to analyze every single picture, and the one that's the least attractive is going to be like the best that person's going to look. If you're lucky. If you're lucky. And I think on the guy's side, from what I've heard, girls use so many filters that you'll show up and you'll be like, I don't even recognize you. And using older pictures. Sure, we all had our glory days and we looked a lot younger, but you know what? We're all gonna get old and ugly at some time. So let's just present our authentic selves right now, because this is who you're going to show up, and it's not my younger self. And sorry, but it happens. But this has been a problem that a lot of my friends and I talk about. It's you have to. They'll send me a picture. They'll send me the 6 pictures, and they're like, "Look how cute he is in picture number 3," and I'm like, "Yeah, but look at picture number 5. That's what he's going to look like most of the time." So, my advice to single people who are on apps is just be yourself. Post things, have pictures of what you really look like. And maybe what you look like when you're out on a boat, or when you're out hiking, your hair's all low, where you don't look like your picture perfect self, because that's how the person's going to see you most often. So, pass it on.
100%. I agree. Yeah. I will say I'm that guy though. If I see an attractive woman, I'm scrolling, no filter, makeup, no. I'm trying to find the most raw photo I can find, so I can get a standard of what's So I do think, and that could just be my preference, right? Some guys really do lady, and I'm not offending any ladies in here, but some guys really do ladies that are done up all the time or whatever. They like that. Some guys want to see what you look like in a more natural environment or state, right? So my advice, I don't really have anything to add, y'all said it all, but try to show, if you're trying to find people online, a wide range of who you are and what you like to do. So that people get a better sense of who you are from your profile, and they don't feel like they've been catfished when they see you in person or whatever it is. That's the reality. That's what I would say.
And if anyone has any questions, start thinking of them. The last question for the panel, and I have some ideas. How do you, and I wrote about this in my book, because I've learned some tricks of the trade. How do you be the heartbreaker and not the one who's always heartbroken? Because many years ago, I was the one who always ended up with tears, and always thought she had found the one. And I think my biggest piece of advice would be to singles is don't be vulnerable too early, whether that's intimacy too early, or revealing your secrets, or that part of yourself, your hopes and your dreams, and in the first 2 or 3 days, because when you put that out on the table, and then someone takes it and has learned that about you, and then you don't go out again, it can really hurt. So I've learned to not share things that are very, very close to me without learning if that person has character and I can trust that person.
And actually, yeah, I totally agree. I think the other thing I would add to that is just, you know, again, be authentic with who you are. And, you know, talking about being a heartbreaker, I should say be authentic as long as you're not a narcissist. No, I'm just joking. But no, be true to who you are, because you want somebody to see you. You want to break somebody's heart who sees you for who you are. You know, so if I can be authentic with who I am, then I don't, you know, and somebody else is interested in me, then I've already kind of won, right? But if I'm just trying to overdo it, or I'm overplaying, or I'm trying to be that person that I think that the other person wants me to be, then I think I said this kind of earlier, but I think you're setting yourself up for failure.
I think number one is that, especially for big-hearted fellows and ladies who kind of tend to wear their heart on the sleeve, who have big hearts, getting over the fact that every single person you meet is not going to be your soulmate. Stop looking at every single person you meet or a date you have as a potential the one, because that thinking and that psychology creates so much of a high, ridiculous expectation that, you know, you're going to just be really disappointed. And then on top of that, I think it's really important to understand that you are not everyone's cup of tea, right? Like, if you go on 20 dates, 2 of them might really, really, really like you, and you might like one of them, right? But to think that every single person you meet is going to be like head over heels crazy about you is absolutely ridiculous. Just like you have preferences, they have preferences. I used to be a matchmaker, and I learned very closely working with men and women in lots of interviews that people have very particular preferences. Now, they don't come right out and tell you these things like when you meet them, but I had male clients that loved freckles. And it just like, oh God, freckles, like do it for me. I'm like, okay. Like, it's some of the weirdest little things that and you can't manufacture that, you can't make that happen. It's just chemistry and it's spiritual, which is why it feels so freaking amazing and everybody wants love because it looks so great, because it has a spiritual aspect to it. But just remember, it's not, in my mind, I learned that when I was single that I was not going to be everybody's first choice. And if you can just really get that deep down in your gut and understand that people don't have to like you, it's so easy to keep it moving. And just really put yourself out there and have fun and have a good time while you're waiting on that really special person to come.
I love that. I absolutely love what you said there, because one of the things, I mean, I don't want to be heartbroken, but I don't want to be a heartbreaker really either. I don't want to cause pain for other people. And, you know, I kind of, when I go out on one of those not so great dates, you know, it's kind of like in sales, you go for no. It's like, I'm going to raise my statistics of finding the right person because I'm finding the ones that aren't. And I truly believe that everybody's brought into your life for a purpose. I've learned so much and had such great conversations with people who are the one. You know, maybe I picked up a new hobby. I went with somebody who taught me how to sous vide steaks, and now I'm a good, awesome steak maker. You know, thanks. I mean, it wasn't a love connection, but I learned, you know, that from him. Or I have made connections business-wise. You know, just things one-off that, you know, great, you know, hey, it's great to know this person. And they don't have to be the love of my life. But, you know, it's great to go in and, like you said, don't have that expectation that everybody is going to be your person. Because, you know, we're only looking for one. And, you know, statistically speaking, it's probably not going to be tomorrow unless, like, your time has come. You know, it's not our timing, is what I've decided. And, you know, when you're personally ready to find that person, you will. But don't take it personally. It's not you. It's not you. And once I realized that and had bad dates or was ghosted or kind of got my feelings hurt in different ways, I'm like, it's not me. They're lost. And you know, once you kind of get that mentality, it's like, it's not like you're being fake where it's like you can't hurt me, but it's where you feel genuine and you're really like, you know, that just means that my person's out there and I haven't found him yet. So just keep going. If swiping's your thing, keep swiping, or going out and enjoying your activities, or you know, people are like, just go to the grocery store. I mean, I get all of my groceries just delivered. And we're like, just get out a little bit. Just go out and have fun. Do the things that you like. And you know, when your time comes, I have faith that it will happen for all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. Clap it up. That was good. So both sides, there's two sides of the coin, right? Of the heartbreaker and the heartbroken, or the rejected and the rejected. Both are difficult.
And more often than not, it's usually one or the other.
Right.
You know, that
Yeah.
you're one or the other until you find your person, and you just are.
Yeah, exactly. So either way, there's going to be pain, right? So I wouldn't even say you were trying to be one over the other. Like if I do it first, it's not going to hurt as bad. Like you're still going to be, you know, in a situation that you don't want to be in that's uncomfortable. So focusing on just being, understanding your true identity. And I'm a Christian, so a lot of that identity I get from my Creator, right? And I know the value that is intrinsically within me. Now, you guys are saying that, you know, you're not everyone's cup of tea. This might sound funny. I think I'm everybody's cup of tea. And I know that, like, in the back of my head, I'm like, I know that's not the case, but legit, every conversation, I'm like, they're gonna love me, they're gonna and then, you know, you pick up real quick whether that's the case or not. Like, oh, they don't love me. But really, though, when that happens, right, and they don't like me, I legit am like, wow, you really missed one. That's crazy that you will make that decision. And it's not because I am narcissistic or that I'm too full of myself, but I know what I have to offer. And I have pride in what I have to offer, and I know that a lot of what I have to offer comes from a spiritual place of just feeling love for myself, love by my God, and me sharing love with others and then getting that love back, so I'm not depending on a relationship to get that reciprocity. You can move on. It's gonna hurt regardless. Like, I've been ripping a Band-Aid off, it's gonna hurt. But you can move forward faster the more you understand your true identity and you're comfortable with yourself.
Amen, Levon, amen. Does anyone have any questions from the audience?
I have a
Carson?
question for
I'm
you.
kidding.
Oh, no, I have a question for Dr. Lee. I do have a question for Dr. Lee.
You have a question for Dr.
For
Lee?
Dr. Lee, yes. So, for people who are the habitual heartbreakers, once they realize and identify that they are the problem, like some people really do sit down and try to do self-work and say, you know what, it's me. It actually is me. What are some of the tools that those people can use to come to the other side and stop breaking hearts and stop hurting people? What's some of the work that people can do? What tools do they need to improve themselves?
I think first of all, and you kind of hit the nail on the head. I think a big part of it is kind of realizing it. If people don't understand that they are the problem, or they're always externalizing and playing outside of themselves, and you know, there's not really room to grow, right? So what I would personally recommend to that person is to find a good therapist. And then to understand what it is about them that's led to them being the heartbreaker. What is it that they fear, maybe in pursuing emotional connection with someone else or opening themselves up? Is there some sort of personality flaw or characteristic that has been holding them back? There are a lot of reasons why people end up being heartbreakers. But I think it's really, pursuing understanding, I think is going to be the first step in that process.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Any other questions? Okay.
It's not for personal, don't tell my
Yeah.
husband I'm asking. But isn't dating online after enough? Because when you meet someone that you are screened through those apps and you show up and you both know that to begin with that you're looking for someone, that you're screening each other, doesn't it sound like a professional interview? Is that enough?
I'll answer that and pass it to my single buddies down there. Yes, it can be sometimes because the person that sits across from you basically goes down there with questions instead of just making it a nice conversation. And I know Chris back there, we talked a long time ago, he found his latest and greatest girlfriend. They've been together, 3 years online. But he always said, I just look at the first date like a meetup. It's a quick cup of coffee or a drink, and worst case scenario, they become a friend. And when I think both people have that idea or perception of how it should go, it's easier. But yes, I've been in those very uncomfortable situations where you walk through the restaurant and everybody's like, it's an online date, look at them, so they don't know each other, it's an online date.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, some of them do sound like a job interview. Like, where'd you go to school? How long have you lived in Dallas? I don't know. Like, how old are your kids? Yeah, a lot of people just haven't developed those conversation skills, and it does. It does sound like a job interview. And you know what? Maybe that's just a nervousness coming out, and or maybe it's just not your person. So. But yeah, some of them are so uncomfortable, and that's a great idea. Is just meet up for coffee or something short. Don't commit yourself to the whole dinner up front. I mean, unless you know it's gonna go well. I mean, seriously, like just give yourself an out. Have a keyword that you can text to your friends or to your kids. And go, hey, if something's wrong with Uncle Frank, you better come home now. Things like that. You have to be able to protect yourself and protect your time because it is valuable. And if you get in a situation where you know it's not going anywhere, and save your time, and it's not always worth all the calories and all the time that it's going to take to actually have that full meal.
Yeah, there's a book called The 90-Day Plan. Not the 90-day, what's the thing where, like you wait 90 days to have sex with the person, whatever. I forgot what it's called, but it's not that. It's not that. But it's essentially like this time period of 90 days where you are very intentional about boundaries when dating someone. And one of the phrases they say, like to say to yourself is like, I'm not trying to find my spouse, this is just a friend, we're just hanging out. And because you kind of relieve the pressure off yourself, like, I gotta figure out this is the one, type of thing. You kind of go with that interview mindset right off the break, right? I am not an advocate of dating online, but since we are all online so much, it's kind of gotten like inevitable eventually. And I just started like meeting people online, and like going to meet them in person and stuff like that. And I try to ask the most like off the wall questions, so it doesn't feel like an interview. Like, okay, what did you eat for breakfast this morning? Why? And just being naturally curious about the person, it leads to you're not interrogating them, but all the while I'm picking up on everything you say, like every little thing that you do, the way you move that napkin. I'm watching, I'm paying attention. So that's how I would go about it. Just taking that pressure off, like I have to find out this is my spouse. This is just a friend. We're just hanging out. We're just gonna have a good time. And if you don't have a good time, then you know it's not your spouse.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that 7 out of 10 people now meet online. 7 out of 10. So for the old schoolers who love to say, oh, you know, Rebecca, I just want to meet someone the old way, like the good old fashioned way. I'm like, there's all these creeps and crazies online. I'm like, yeah, but there's creeps and crazies at the grocery store too. Like, you know, you can be a creep or a crazy person anywhere. I met my husband through Facebook. So, you know, it's not always just a dating app either. It's even with just the social media. I was out to lunch with a good friend. She posted, let's take a selfie, which ladies, you know what we do. And she posted the picture and tagged me. My husband was her friend on Facebook and saw the picture and asked her who I was. And we talked on the phone that same day. We had our first date 4 days later, and we were married 16 months later. So, you know, don't shrug off like the introductions, the DMs, the virtual introductions can definitely lead somewhere.
42.2 million people in the U.S. use online dating, and worldwide it's 300 million. So it's a lot. It's a lot. I enjoy meeting people the old-fashioned way, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. Yeah.
But also realize that the technology has also changed the landscape of how this all works. Men don't really approach women as much as they used to because of the technology, guys. When I was single, I never got approached by men. They might look at me, you know, they would stare, they would, you know, but they would never approach. So if I had left it up to just who I met in person when I was single, I promise you, the only man hitting on me was like the crackhead at the gas station. And it's like, you know, this is not good date potential. You know what I mean? Like I would have had 0 dates if it hadn't been for online dating. If I wouldn't have been open on technology, I would have never even met my husband.
Good stuff. Anyone else? Okay.
Well, hi. Speaking of new way of dating, so this question is more of for what I want to get the expert's advice on young people's dating because my son is sitting back there, and it's very rare we're in the same sort of event. So I wanted to get your, because as a parent, I struggle sometimes on how to give advice, constructive, advice, since he's just starting to date. He's in high school. He's good friends with Laura's son, Carson. So, do you have any advice for kids in their teenagers in their early 20s?
I guess the advice that I would give is actually, enjoy the process. There's, you have a lot of time, and, so, find people that you share an interest with, and go out with the intention of having fun. Not every person that you date has to be the one. We don't have to treat it that way. I like what Laura said earlier about, put things in the right. I shouldn't say right. That's kind of, but put it in order that kind of allows the relationship to grow. If you find a special person and you want to get to know them better, start from like the emotional side of things. Is this a person that you can let your guard down with? Can they let their guard down with you? What sort of visioning do you do together? You know, but I think at that age, though, I think it's just a great. I always say that, you know, relationships are, and dating is practice until you find the right one. And then, and so hopefully that culmination of that practice, you're going to find those things that really interest you, and you're going to find those things that you really want to stay away from. And so every person is kind of it's an opportunity to grow in that way.
Our youngest son is a sophomore in college, and he moved into school freshman year of college in the dorm, got on Tinder, and looked for girls within 1 mile of him because he didn't have his car at college. And he connected with the girl, and they began a message, and they met each other like 2 days later after talking on the app, and decided to meet like down at this cafe or something on campus. Come to find out they're in the exact same dorm, and she was 3 floors down from him. And they've been going steady since freshman year. It's his girlfriend even still right now. So like the kids are using the apps, guys, and they don't have any problem with this. Like this technology is like part of their DNA at this point, right? Like it's the adults that are really struggling with this stuff. But he's like, yeah, she's in my dorm. I'm like, what? Like, so you guys, you know how like when we were growing up, he would have met her at the coffee shop or the cafeteria or at the library on campus, right? He's on the app and meets someone 3 floors down from him, and that's how they connected. So I think the kids have gotten this a lot more figured out than we do.
Thank you for that advice. Carson, are you listening? Well, I think it's about time that we wrap up. Anyone else have anything else? Thank you so much for coming. It was a pleasure to have you all here. Please enjoy drinks from the bar if you're over 21. And food and all of that. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, everybody. So I'm Laura's publicist, and I will do what I know she would not do. Her book is going to be released on the 23rd, so we've got a couple days. Let's make her a bestseller, Amazon bestseller for the second time. If you would, for those of you who are on social media, please hashtag the new truth about dating when you make your purchase, or when you're in the middle of reading, or when you read that one-liner that made you like think. Let's give her some support and show her the love that she deserves. Because she's amazing.